Hey, Ross Robertson with Big Water Fishing. You know, casting for walleyes has always been a thing, but forward-facing sonar has made it really a thing. More people are doing that than ever before. And a lot of the stuff, and if you look at some of the stuff we have at FishUSA, you know, I like fast action rods for a lot of my stuff, especially when there's live bait involved or we're drifting or things like that. But when you're actively working or popping a bait, you know, especially with soft plastics like this little Z-Man Jerk ShadZ here, an extra fast action is really important. It's, you know, a lot of the stuff the same guys are using for bass fishing, hanging a minnow, things like that, terms you've heard, but that popping and being able to work that without moving it tremendously in the column, just making that, sometimes even just shaking to make it wiggle, it's really important to have that extra fast action. So right here we've got a 852, which is 7'1", and it's a medium power, but it's an extra fast action. And it is just, I mean, it's much quicker there in the tip, and that's gonna make a really big difference for getting hooks in and again, not moving that bait a lot. And I'm almost always pairing that with a braided line with a fluorocarbon leader material like that, and a little tungsten head, and a Jerk ShadZ is one of my favorite. You can see this one just absolutely annihilated, or a Graph ShadZ. There's a lot of videos and things out that we've done with that. But really any of the soft plastics and the tungsten heads, that's kind of my go-to. Now sometimes that doesn't always work, or sometimes during the day they get off a little bit, heat of summer. Sometimes we're going to live bait. So we're gonna also keep it in with the Loomis NRX still, but we're gonna go a little bit different here. So one of my favorite rods for casting walleyes when we're not using soft plastics and we're just straight up using a tungsten jig head, oftentimes we're gonna be using just a nightcrawler. That seems to be one of the biggest weapons going. This is a VMC tungsten swim bait head, and all I do is just thread up a nightcrawler on that. But the difference here is this is a 7.5 foot, and it's a fast action. So very similar to the rods that I'm using for, you know, my jigs and things like that when I'm regular kind of walleye fishing, traditional. And I also sometimes use a 7-footer. There are a need for both of those rods. So this is 7.5 foot, medium, fast action. But the advantage here is once you put a live crawler in that and you've got to sling that away from the boat, a lot of days those casts have to be around the 80-foot mark. That may not sound like a lot, but you can't cast super hard or you're gonna throw that worm off. So that extra 6 inches makes a big difference for getting that out there. But really the unforeseen thing also is if you set the hook immediately with a live crawler like that, you are gonna lose a lot of bites. So you almost just want that rod to load up and just, you have to really feel the weight before you kind of, you know, reel down on them, almost like you're fishing a slip bobber. So the advantage with that is to have a fast action. Extra fast is just too much. You're gonna lose a lot of fish. You're not gonna get nearly as many bites. Now I use this also in a 7-foot model, which is an 842 SJR. 7-foot, medium action, or medium power, fast action. But that 7.6 902 SJR is absolute money all around. You can use this for slip bobbers and things like that too, power corking, but casting tungsten jig heads, live crawlers, that's my setup.